Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to look at this. This is a 2022 Honda Super Cub 125. This, of course, is a modern copy of the popular Honda Cub that was sold for years and years, and I believe it's like 60 million copies were sold. This is a modern version. It's got everything: fuel injection, it's air-cooled, it's semi-manual. It's a really cool bike, and I want to show you around it. This thing could not be any cuter, and I think you'll agree that if you want a bike that's a very casual bike, very easy to use, and it gives you a feel like a motorcycle, this is it. It's got 17-inch tires, meaning that it gives you a motorcycle kind of characteristic when riding, and it's short. When you sit on it, this thing is a moped-like type of bike. If you think a Honda PCX is small, this thing is half of that. It really feels like a moped, like a Tomos Target moped. Today is a very cold day, and riding this makes you feel colder because even this little tiny windscreen is not very effective in getting the wind off of you. And on this particular bike, you have a 17-inch front tire. It is tubed. I wish it was tubeless. It does have a cast wheel. The Trail 125 has got spokes, and it's got a single-sided rotor with ABS, and it's pretty decent. I think the one thing you're going to find is that on these bikes, they have similar characteristics that a motorcycle has. It is a nostalgic retro style, but it's got all the modern conveniences. LED lights that are pretty bright. You have LED blinkers, and these are the Honda's putting all of these LED blinkers in all their bikes, which I can appreciate. And of course, plenty of chrome. This bike gets plenty of attention. It's just absolutely cute, and you have the horn right in here. So it's funny seeing the paint up close. You get all that glitter. They really spent a lot of time in this paint job. And of course, right here is a thing that Honda is doing a lot, is the keyless ignition, and you just push it in and kind of turn it to the on position, and there is a lockable part as well, but it's then I believe you walk out 7 feet and it turns off by itself. I had the key on me, so that's the key fob. It's got 3 buttons. Lockable. There's an audio thing for the key. Now this is something that's really interesting, and I like that Honda did that. They brought back the old Honda logo for the Honda Super Cub as an homage to the past. On the right side of the bike, you have the brake pedal and your foot peg. This is nice. It absorbs a lot of vibration, and of course you have a lot of chrome, and that's your filler. It's not a dipstick, but you do have a sight glass right over there. This is one of my complaints, is that the foot peg or the rear brake pad is a drum rear brake, and it's terrible. You have to go down quite a bit to have any stopping power. More chrome throughout. This is kind of nice, like it's an aftermarket rear exhaust. I have the keyless ignition here. This is a 2022, and Honda did not include any USB charger or 12-volt power supply in the front for people to power their phones, but they do have this chrome cover, which is kind of rather odd, and I don't know if it's an homage to the previous Cub, but I wish that they put something there to charge your phones, because that would be the ideal location. Here we have a really nice looking exhaust. This is by Beams. It says real made in Japan. Don't know much about that exhaust, but it does sound really good for such a small bike. This one also has an aftermarket rear shock. I have the stock ones, but the bike itself is really cute, and I think that's the majority of riding that you're going to do. You're going to call a lot of attention to yourself. On the left side is something that I have not seen on a lot of bikes. Actually, this is the only one that I know has this. I'm sure there's more, but so first of all, you got the aftermarket shock. You have a 17 rear, 17 front, But this is a chain-driven bike with sprockets, but it's got an enclosure. Now the Trail 125 has got that exposed. And I kind of like that. It's clean. You know, a lot of people that are going to be using this might be commuters. They don't want to get any grime from the chain onto their pants. And also, it might extend the chain life a whole lot more. And it's not that much to remove. I believe it's just this bolt, this, and this. And these covers do pop out. And also, it's got like a sight glass or sight hole to look at the chain and see if it needs adjustment. And then, of course, you can adjust it normally as you would do any motorcycle with this. It's kind of a clever thing, but it's mostly a style. The style of having this, I think it's very unique, and I think that's why I got drawn to it. The Trail 125, it doesn't have that, but there's something a little bit missing. It feels empty. And on this, I like it. I like that it's enclosed. It's a semi manual, but it's very awkward. So you have most of the time your leg like this, and you shift this way. All the way down is neutral. And then when you want to go to first, that's that. Second, third, and fourth. And of course, it's got a very large parrot-like front fender. And I'll mention that again. No tubeless. This is not a tubeless design, and I wish it were. It needs to be tubeless, in my opinion. The bike comes with this chrome rear cargo rack, but the previous owner extended it with that black one. The black one definitely makes things much more usable because this rack is nice, but you know, when you look at the Cub 125, it is so much sturdier. But you know, remember, this bike is definitely more of a styling thing rather than the utilitarian version. Open the seat and get the fuel. There's actually a hidden button here, which is like kind of clever. It's hidden, doesn't need to be hidden, but this is where the fuel tank is. And it only takes 1 gallon, 1 freaking gallon of fuel. Right here on the top, you push that, push it down. It's a little bit difficult with my gloves. There's a button here. You push it and you hear that pop. This right side secret compartment with tools. You can put maybe your registration in there. And of course, in the front, you don't have anything super fancy, but you do have your start, the electric start, kill switch, throttle, and your front brake. And on the left side, you have your high beam, you have a horn, and you have a turn signal. Very annoying because one of the things I hate about Honda, what they're doing now is reversing these. It's really annoying. Of course, if you notice, there is no clutch lever at all because this is a semi-manual transmission. Now, the cockpit is minimalistic, very retro. You have 1 button. That's your button right there, a chrome button, and that's it. Very minimalistic. You can tell you have your speedo right over there. And then here in the middle, you have your fuel gauge right up on the top. And then where it says 1, that's your gears. And you have 4 of those. And then you have trip 1 and trip B. Push the button. You can see trip 1, trip B, and then your odometer. This one's got 5,000 miles. And then the only other information that you have is just some indicators, including the ABS. Not a lot of information, not even a MPG calculator. That would have been appreciated because this thing gets incredible mileage. That's interesting is that when you're riding and you have your helmet on, you don't see the speedo at all. And the speedo is really tiny. The fonts of the speedometer are absolutely small. You know, there's bikes that when you sit on them, you feel like you're inside the bike because the bike kind of engulfs you, surrounds you. There's bikes that it feels like you're sitting on top. This one, it kind of feels like you are the bike. It's kind of incredible. You can get 150 miles to the gallon, and you kind of need high mileage because the gas tank on this is a surprising 1 gallon gas tank. I just filled this thing up. And I was thinking I would put like a close to a gallon, but it really spent $2 on it. So even in today's crazy gas prices, you can fill this thing up for change, which is insane. For this drag race, there we go, first gear. Oh my god, I hit the rev limiter. Alright, third gear. This is third. I'm at 55. This is fourth gear now. Almost 60 miles an hour.